100 years ago, Samuel Burge answered his king and country's call and, along with millions of others, left behind his home and loved ones to make what would become a one-way journey to Flanders fields. Little could he have known of the fate that would befall him, and thus, on the 8th of May 1915, Samuel Burge went into action near Ypres, in Belgium, in a battle that would be his last. His final resting place remains a mystery, and his only commemorations are on the Meningate Memorial to the Missing, along with almost 55,000 other names of men who have no known grave, and here at Mitcham War Memorial. But by piecing together the movements recorded in regimental diaries, it may be possible at last to follow in his final footsteps, to see the place where perhaps he fell, and furthermore the cemetery that could, potentially, even hold his unidentified grave. Samuel George Burge was born in Tooting in 1893. In 1913, at the age of just 21, he married Alice Salis. Together they had one son. Samuel enlisted in Kingston on September the 6th, 1914, and, following 6 months basic training, was finally shipped out to France and said goodbye to England for the last time.
The East Surrey Regimental Diary gives us an excellent account of what the regiment did during the war. And although it doesn't specifically name Samuel Burge, what it does do is give us enough clues that we can follow in his final footsteps.
Samuel Burge arrived in France just 12 days before he died. There is an entry in the regimental diary announcing the arrival of 120 men, and it's very likely that Burge was in this number.
And if that was the case, then Burge would have been immediately involved in the action here at Valerenhoek.
Neighbourhood heavily shelled all day. One shell passed through roof of battalion headquarters, but did not explode until reaching ground. Casualties nil. D Company relieved B Company. 2nd Lieutenant F. Thompson wounded during relief.
On the 2nd of May, the diary says that a greenish-yellow cloud was seen hanging over the trenches where an attack was taking place. The cloud was gas. It must have been truly terrifying to watch. The battalion was sent back for a period of rest and recuperation here at Poplinga, 12 kilometres from Ypres. They were even inspected by Corps Commander Lieutenant General Sir Herbert Plummer, but only after 2 days they were put back on the alert.
At 4 p.m, the battalion advanced.
On reaching this road running south-east from Ypres, the battalion came under murderous machine gun fire from a farm over there. In addition to that, they're completely exposed and suffering from multiple shell attacks. The Germans were attempting to push a whole division through a gap just 3 kilometres wide.
By midnight, 8 hours after going into action, the East Surreys were just about hanging on. They were instructed to keep holding until relieved. For the next 2 days they clung on, enduring fierce bombardments before a relief brigade finally took over the line. 4 days after leaving Poperinga, with around 600 men, they were back, having sustained 281 casualties. Of those 281, 75 were killed. Of those 75, only 11 have an identified grave, leaving 64 men with no known grave. The precise fate of Samuel Burge is completely unknown. Regardless of how he died, and probably most tragically of all, he encountered a fate shared with that of almost 250,000 men, that the whereabouts of his final resting place is unknown. At best, he may lie in one of the tens of thousands of unidentified graves. At worst, he has no recognised grave whatsoever, apart from the ground upon which he fell. Using Commonwealth war grave records and locating the graves of other East Surrey men who died that same day, could it be that Samuel Burge's final resting place is actually within touching distance?
The question is, why Burge? After the war, his widow remarried. The person she remarried was my great-grandfather. If Burge hadn't given his life as a sacrifice during the war, I may not be here to tell the tale.